Hello, my girlie. Welcome to Talks with Say, the only late night, thought-provoking, giggle-inducing lifestyle and girl talk podcast for my ladies whose days melt into their nights. I'm Zahra, your tulip-loving, heels-obsessed host who, just like you, is trying to figure it all out while finding moments of balance, discipline, and self above else. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to Talks with Say and turn on your notifications so you don't miss an episode. Tonight, we're indulging in something that is pretty much non-existent these days, and that's privacy for us in today's world, particularly privacy as it relates to social media and our mental well-being. As you know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I couldn't ignore this topic. I recently came across a quote that said something along the lines of, "Social media has created an unwarranted illusion of jealousy. We're envious of things, relationships, and lifestyles that don't even exist." Now, pair that quote with the articles I've been reading about social media, its lack of privacy, and effects on our mental health. I knew we had to talk about it tonight. But first, a little fun fact about me. I'm actually not a social media girly. In fact, I've actually never had a personal social media account. Not Instagram, not TikTok, etc. And no, my girlie, not for the reasons you're thinking. I just have never seen the appeal of having a social media account, at least for personal use. Although I get it, but on a personal level, it's never appealed to me. You may not believe me, but I'm that girlie of yours that's always like, "Sis, do not post me on social media. Please don't post that on Insta just yet. We're still here. Safety first. What if something happens to us? What if something happens to you?" Yes, call me paranoid, call me dramatic, whatever, plenty have, but my so-called paranoia is valid. Let me share a couple of stats with you. In 2019, the US federal government fined TikTok $5.7 million for violating the Children's Online Privacy Act. TikTok paid that fine, and after paying that fine, guess what they did? Number one, they did not delete the personal information they had collected from those children. And number two, they were still collecting children's personal information, and they were doing so without the consent or knowledge of the children's parents. Another stat, in 2022 alone, 1/4 or 25% of fraud victims here in the US were targeted via social media. And as recent as 2023, 70% of employers say they use social media to research possible job candidates during the hiring process. And over half of those 70% of employers said that they did not hire a candidate or did not hire candidates because of what they found on those candidates' social media profiles. So why does all of this matter, and what does it have to do with you, your privacy, and your mental health? Well, let's look at it this way. If kids are being violated, what makes you think you aren't being violated either? Second, social media is not what you think it is, and you are way too such is life about it. You are way too, "I don't care, I'm gonna share, I feel like it, I want to." You're putting too much on Front Street, and I just want you to spend tonight thinking about that. Listen, people are crazy, people harm, and more than that, people kill. I know that went from 0 to 1,000 real quick, but this is Talks with Say, a late night podcast that keeps it real, authentic, and raw with you. So let's touch on what exactly is privacy as it relates to social media. Social media privacy is personal and sensitive information people, companies, and bots can find out about you from your social media profiles. This personal and sensitive information is shared voluntarily and involuntarily, meaning you can voluntarily share your information through posts you share on whatever social media platform or platforms you're on, and also by making your profiles public. You involuntarily share information through tracking cookies, which track and share your online footprint. All of this voluntary and involuntary information is used by companies for marketing purposes and other stuff, but it's also used by scammers and terrible people to gain access to you. The thing is, a lot of us have this belief that if your social media profile is set to private, then everything is private. No. That's unfortunately not how it works. Even if your profile is private, anyone can gain access to anything you share or have shared. We know about the TikTok ban here in the US. We know about all the countless headlines of the social media platform being hacked and that social media platform violating a handful of our rights. But with all of that being said, there's this never-ending problem of social media privacy issues. Rather than touch on all of them, I'm going to talk about two, which are location and the need for validation. First, location. The problem here is relatively obvious, and that is shared location data can be used by stalkers and predators. Many social media platforms include location data as their default platform setting, and this data includes photos or posts, which can be used by stalkers, scammers, and to track your physical movement. And remember what I said earlier, people harm and people kill. Second, the constant need for validation. So this issue goes hand in hand with our mental well-being. You and I both know how shit social media can be for our mental health. The endless scrolling, the seeing other people and thinking they must have it so perfect, the constant urge to share it all with everyone as a means to prove yourself. But let me ask you this, why do you have an Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or all three? Even if you're not constantly posting on them, how many times in a week do you pull up the Instagram or TikTok app on your phone and watch reels and stories and TikToks? And as you're watching those, how are you actually feeling? Even after you're done watching them, how are you feeling? Listen, we're a thought-provoking podcast for a reason, but now that you have your answer, let's talk about how to save while having social media. Number one, limit your time on social media and detox at the very least monthly. If you start your day on social media, so be it, but don't also start your lunch, your snack time, dinner, or your evening wind down session on social media as well. Number two, slow down. Maybe you know you're on social too much and you really want to stop. Well, the first step is acknowledging you have a problem. The next is remembering that slow is better than hardcore in this situation. If you're on social 5 hours every day, cut it to 4 hours every other day. And when you get the urge to open that app, go do something you used to love to do as a kid. Number three, actually read those terms and conditions. Number four, go live your life and keep it with you. Listen, I promise you, your life is just as wonderful without everyone seeing every bit of it. I know social media is great for keeping in touch, but just how in touch do you need to be, especially virtually? You can try a phone call or going outside and grabbing brunch, food, talking, and a good laugh. How is that not better than social media? Add to that being truly present, phone in your purse, not taking photos of the food or mimosas or restaurant vibes. Just try it out. I promise you'll end that brunch date feeling the best you've felt in a long time. Next, stop oversharing. Please always remember that what you share on social media, even if your profile is private, can be used against you literally and legally. Number six, disable your location settings on your phone and use multi-factor authentication for every social media account you have. Next, learn and know who you are. If you've been keeping up this season, then you know this isn't the first time I've mentioned this. Learning and knowing who you are is integral to living in this world right now. Everyone, everywhere, every place is trying to be like other people. I mean, come on, when you log on to your socials, how many faces look the same? How many lives seem like replicas of others? The more you learn and know who you are, the greater your self-assurance and the less likely you want your entire life shared with just anybody. Lastly, implement the 48-hour rule. Anything that you want to post on social media, give it 48 hours. Whether you want to share it as a TikTok or a reel or a story, just give it 48 hours before sharing and before posting. All right, my girlie, this is another topic, just like the previous episode's topic, where I can go on and on, but we'll call it a night here. So the takeaways from tonight's episode are, while there's no such thing as real privacy today, especially as it relates to social media, us girlies can still maintain a good amount of it by prioritizing our mental well-being, creating boundaries with ourselves and the internet, and lastly, understanding that what you post never truly goes away. And that's it for tonight's episode. If you've enjoyed this episode or you're enjoying the podcast, go ahead and tap on the subscribe button and leave me a review. You can also find me and Talks with Say on Instagram at Talks with Say. Thank you, my girlie, for joining me, and more importantly, thank you for existing. Until next time, self above else.